Hello everybody, my name is Colin, or Dino Blitz, and welcome to another figure review, this time an inbox review, because, last time with my Stegosaurus review, I reviewed it out of the box, since I opened it like a few months ago, but I did want to review that figure for a long time, but now I picked up the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Sinoceratops, which I've been contemplating on getting for a little while now, and I even explained it in my former video. But I'm definitely glad that I got this figure. And so, without further ado, let's review it. So, before we even crack open this figure here, let's take a look at the box. So, as you can see here, with the new wave of Hammond Collection figures, we have this beautiful box art of certain dinosaurs like we had in the past, with Spinosaurus and Stegosaurus. And of course, we have the classic Fallen Kingdom render of Sinoceratops, and the logo right above it. And of course, a couple of complaints that some people had about some of the Hammond Collection figures was that the box only showed like 30% of the figure. So like this Sinoceratops here, it only has the head exposed and only part of the neck, as you can see here. But enough about that. Let's go over to the back of the box here. As you can see, it shows all the different poses you can put the Sinoceratops in, just like the other two figures, the Stegosaurus and Spinosaurus. And as the logo from where this dinosaur is featured in one of my favorite movies, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And yeah, yes, I did say that this is one of my favorite movies from the Jurassic franchise. Probably part of my top 3, I would say. I remember going to the movie theater loving this movie, and I still love it to this day. And I know that may sound controversial of me, but hey, I'm not ashamed to say it. I love Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And of course, to this side of the box here, we see a nice little film image of the Sinoceratops in that one scene where Owen Grady is paralyzed and a Sinoceratops walks right up to him and licks his face before the lava came approaching Owen, and then we have that scene where he's just paralyzed and he's trying to escape the lava. I don't know, it's kind of like a bit of a cartoony scene. Yeah, basically, it says right here, a broken-horned Sinoceratops creeps up on a paralyzed Owen Grady. It bends down to his face with a tongue full of mucus-dripping saliva, then stomps the ground and turns away as a burning lava approaches. And as you can see and notice for this figure here, it has 2 different accessories, detachable horns, one broken horn, as you can see, attached to its body, and one full horn. And of course, an open jaw and a closed jaw, basically to reconstruct that one scene, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. And I gotta say, I'm kind of pissed off that they left out that one kick-ass fight between Sinoceratops and the Carnotaurus, which is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. So now that we've reviewed the box, let's actually crack this sucker open and get to the figure itself. So guys, here is the Sinoceratops out of the packaging, and I gotta say, man, they really did a really good job on this figure here. And I gotta say, a lot of people who were unboxing this video before had a lot of complaints about this figure, and I gotta say, this is probably the first mid-sized figure in a long time with since probably, I can't really remember when, I guess 2023, that's when they kind of stopped with the mid-sized Hammond Collection figures. I think the last one they did was probably the Corythosaurus, if I remember correctly, but who cares though. Of course, some of those figures like the Irritator and Corythosaurus I do not possess, but I'm glad that I got this figure here. I gotta say, it definitely works as a film-accurate figure, just like what we saw from the movie. But I guess my complaint with it is the size. the size of it because it looks way too small, kind of like the Triceratops, that which is the only other ceratopsian in the Hammond collection. But I do hope that things change once we get the Sinoceratops in the future, or maybe some re-renders of these ceratopsian figures as well. But of course, without further ado, let's get into the fine details of this figure here. So, as you can see, let's start with the face. So the face is pretty awesome with the wrinkles that we have here, and the white coloration that is counter-shaded with green right here at the top. And also the orange and white decor on the frill as well. And I gotta say, this might seem very controversial, but I really do like this interpretation of Sinoceratops for the Jurassic World films. Even though it's not like it's a far cry from the real thing, I still quite like it, creative-wise. Like, I mean, I kind of don't really like these open windows of the fenestras, but I do like the crown of horns around the frill here that overlap right here, and kind of hook in with the massive nasal horn here. I gotta say, that's quite nice, I must say. And of course, for the mouth, has that nice glossy pink texture. And the eye here, as you can see, it's not a glass eye this time. It's just a painted eye with painted iris and pupil. And I guess Mattel is going back to the olden days with the painted eye rather than going all out with the glass eyes like they did with their previous figures, because I've always had complaints with them. I mean, sometimes they turned out nice, like with the Allosaurus, the Therizinosaurus, and the recently reviewed Stegosaurus, but it doesn't really work well with other figures like the Spinosaurus, the Giganotosaurus, or the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, but I digress. I don't know if Mattel's going to commit to just painted eyes this time, or just go back to the glass eye for other figures. But, who knows. But let's get into the body. Of course, just like the movie, it has this big, chunky body, which is kind of unnecessary, but still gives it the aesthetic of a giant herbivorous dinosaur. And of course the claws here are painted in a nice brownish gray color, and the tail and back has these nice tan stripes going from the neck to the tail here. I gotta say, it's quite nice. Even though a lot of people didn't really like the design of Sinoceratops for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I quite liked it a lot. Because for one, I was excited because we were getting a new ceratopsian other than Triceratops. And two, I kind of really liked its skull shape. Even though it's a far cry from the real thing, as I said before. And now also, it seems like a good time to get into the accessories of this figure, of course, that it came with, which is the detachable horn, which you can just pull out the broken horn, as you can see. Here, let me just get to focus here, and yep, you can just remove the detachable horn and replace it, or the broken horn, I mean, sorry, and replace it with this horn here, the completely restored horn. And I gotta say, I really like this horn over the broken horn, but I really like that they did add a broken horn, so that you can probably give it the illusion that the Sinoceratops probably lost a fight with another Sinoceratops or a carnivorous dinosaur. So I would definitely like to do it in my stop motions if I get the chance. And as you may know from like my TikTok account, I'm kind of like a very rookie stop motion animator, but I always try to do my best. And I usually do post stop motions when I do have the time. So, also let's get into the detachable jaw here. Let's see if I can remove it without breaking the figure. Yeah, I saw from a Dino Reviews review of the Sinoceratops, which I watched before making this video. So shout out to you, Dino. He did say that it's really hard to get out, so you might have to use a tool. So bear with me, guys. I'm just gonna cut off for now, but when I do, I'm gonna have this jaw from the Sinoceratops detached. So okay, I managed to detach the open mouth of the Sinoceratops, as you can see. It didn't really take too much for me. I just really had to get my thumb in there and just pry it out. I didn't really have to use a tool, but here is the closed mouth of the Sino. So you just gotta pop it in here just like so. And there you go. You have a nice little crap. You have a nice closed mouth that is completely flush right there. I gotta say, people have their complaints about the open jaw and the closed mouth, but I kind of like it in a way. I mean, a hinge jaw could have sufficed, but I don't know. All I can say is that it works for photography or even stop motions. And I can't wait to test it out when I do a stop motion of this thing, which I'll probably make after I'm done with this video here. So now that the accessories are out of the way, I'd like to get into the articulation of this figure here. So starting at the head, you can move the head from side to side, and you can move it up and down pretty far. So you can have, so the range of motion in the head is pretty limitless. But when we get to the legs here, I gotta say, once I got it out of the box, they were quite tight. So before I presented it for the first time out of the box, I soaked the joints in hot water so that I could loosen up a bit, but they're still quite tight. I mean, the ankles are quite looser, so I could just tilt them a little bit up and down and kind of break its ankle right there and its leg in the process. But I can't seem to move this thing, or at least this leg. Let's try the other leg. I mean, this leg I can move, but man, they don't really go very far. They're very tight right here at the socket. And even at the back legs too. I mean, they're a little looser than the front legs, but I mean, not this ankle here, but this leg here, okay, this seems to go out pretty far. Let's see, 160 degrees, okay, kind of, but I might have to rotate it right around. Sorry, I can't speak today. And let's see, let's try the other leg. Yep. I guess some of the legs don't give me too much trouble, but hey, it's quite awesome. And last but certainly not least, there's the tail, which, oh, I guess you can't really rotate it 360 degrees, but you can bend it from side to side. And I gotta say, it's a bit clicky and does have some joints in it compared to the... Wait, what the... Compared to, let's say, the Hammond collection T-Rex. Does, when I feel around here, it does have a bit of jointage there. Wait, hold on. I've noticed something. Oh, I still had some water in there from when I soaked it in hot water. So yeah, that's the finer details of the articulation of this figure. So continuing on with comparisons, here's the Sinoceratops next to Owen Grady. Oh, if he can stand up, of course. There we go. It seems only appropriate since this figure is made for that one stupid scene with him. But hey, I digress. I'll even post pose it so that you can, or excuse me, I'll even set it up so that I can recreate that scene for you guys. Just give me a moment. And of course, here's another Sinoceratops that I have in my collection, which is the Soundstrike Sinoceratops from the Primal Attack line of figures. And as you can see, the Soundstrike figure is just slightly bigger than the Hammond collection, which I could have wished it was just about that size, so it could, or maybe a little bigger for that perspective. But it seems like a very common trend with Mattel, where they can't really size up, where they don't really size up their ceratopsians as they should. But I kind of, but I will give Mattel a little bit of grace, because Sinoceratops was no way, shape, or form a very big ceratopsian. But with her Triceratops figures, I kind of really expect a little more from them. And of course, we have two other dinosaurs right next to the Sinoceratops that were also featured in Fallen Kingdom, which is the Baryonyx and the Concavinator. Of course, still I don't really know if the Concavinator really counts, but I digress, because it was featured as a statue in the movie. And of course, here's the Sinoceratops next to the Hammond Collection Carnotaurus. Now you can see that this Carnotaurus absolutely dwarfs this Sinoceratops, like absolutely towers over the Sino here. Like from what we've seen in Fallen Kingdom, we actually seen a Carnotaurus fight with the Sinoceratops, which is probably one of my favorite dinosaur fights, even to this day, even though it was very short-lived. And then the Carnotaurus eventually gets taken out by Rexy, and while she roars in the background. So, with the size of this Sinoceratops here, I guess I could try, but it's very unlikely that I'll recreate that scene where it fights the Carnotaurus. Of course, I can't forget the Hammond Collection Triceratops, which is the only other ceratopsian in the Hammond Collection. That's if you don't count the baby Triceratops, but of course that's still Triceratops, though. And we're still yet to get Nasutoceratops, or maybe even Pachyrhinosaurus, which was featured in Jurassic World Chaos Theory, which is one of the Jurassic World animated shows on Netflix, if you recall. But let's just hope and pray that we do get that in the Hammond Collection sometime in the future. And of course, last but certainly not least, I'd like to compare the Sinoceratops with two of the other dinosaurs in this wave of Hammond Collection figures, the Stegosaurus and Spinosaurus. And man, when I see the Sinoceratops right next to the Spinosaurus, it looks absolutely tiny, especially next to the Stegosaurus here. It's absolutely gigantic. Like, look at it compared to these two figures here. I'll probably dub this group the S Squad, since these dinosaurs' names all start with S. You know, Stegosaurus, Sinoceratops, and Spinosaurus. So there you go. We got the S Trio, or S Squad, whatever you want to call them. So that about wraps up this review of the Hammond Collection Sinoceratops. I gotta say, I'm glad that I made this video right after I made my Hammond Collection Stegosaurus review yesterday. And I gotta say, I really like making these videos. I know that before it was kind of a burden on me when I had more work to do, but I kind of have a little more time on my hands, so maybe I can make more videos like this in the future. But to end things off, I definitely want to wrap it up with a few facts about the Sinoceratops. So, the Sinoceratops was the only large ceratopsian ever discovered in what is now China, and it is the largest ceratopsian that was ever found in that region. And its fossils date back to about 75 million years ago, or maybe 80 million years ago. Yeah, I probably should have done my homework before before making this video, but I'll kind of leave it at there. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and if you do, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Alright guys, peace out, God bless you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.